Hello fellow old schoolers and welcome to some more games from the Long Island Cup 2019. These games are like the polar opposite of the previous recording. The previous recording we had some spicy brews and people playing for most original creative deck. These guys are playing to win. It's some very well-known and very strong archetypes. In this matchup we have the blue-red Counterburn setup against the deck. And the blue-red Counterburn deck is revolves around counter spells, the full burn package, and for creatures it has Flying Men, a full playset of Serenity Befried, and this deck also packs a couple of sushis. For extra damage it uses Black Wise as well. This would probably prove very handy against the deck. This particular Counterburn deck also splashes black, and it only does this in order to gain access to Mind Twist and the Money Tutor, and that's a very viable and well-used route for the Counterburn deck to use. Some do it and some don't, but it's I guess it's just to get additional filth in the deck. As for the deck, unfortunately I didn't get a picture of the deck, but this particular version we will see here has a Shivan Dragon as its top curve drop. Some of the deck uses Serra Angel, and some uses Factories and Tetrabus. This one uses, as said, the Shivan Dragon and 4 Factories as its kill con. It has the usual setup with 4 Yimday Tombs and the full removal package and counter magic, and it is fully powered with power 9. Whereas the Counterburn deck only has the Mox Jet as power in the deck, so it doesn't have access to the blue power. It's still a strong setup though. So here we go. It's round number 2 in the Long Island Cup. And here is the Counterburn deck. There's a Factory, a City of Brass, a Mox Jet and an island. And there's a Flying Men and a counter spell. And a single bolt. The deck packs the Library of Alexandria turn 1, a Felberstone, Tundra, Volcanic Island, 2 Yimday Tombs and a Disenchant. So the burn deck has a very aggressive opening with the Flying Men, and we see the deck actually has to mulligan down to 6 cards here, so that will negate the Library of Alexandria for the first 2 turns. He has a Disenchant to protect himself against the Black Wise though, so I can understand why he keeps that hand. He just needs to get within lower range as soon as possible. So the deck has a very slow start, but with plenty of card advantage. And he put one of the books down as his mulligan sacrifice. So the Flying Men gets over for a single poke, and we have an island and a Factory out from the Counterburn deck. There's a Tundra, City of Brass, Mox Jet, and now he attacks with both the Flying Men and the Factory, trying to put in as much damage as possible before the deck gains control. So this is very much a matchup between the Counterburn deck that has to close the game early with his burn, and the deck that has to hang on for dear life as long as possible, accumulating card advantage and winning through that. So the deck is at 16 points of life here, but he is mana fixed at this point. Another Factory from the Counterburn deck. Attacking again. And now the deck uses its Disenchant on the Factory. Gets countered by the Counterburn deck though. So it survives. And there's a Black Wise. Okay, this will actually... well, it will shut that Library of Alexandria down because it has just used that Disenchant. That's a problem for the deck. Okay, so he taps at the end step, he taps the City of Brass in order to solve the Plowshare of the Factory, just to remove some cards from hand. Mind you, the Factory is still a creature until end of turn, so that's why he can do it this way. Now it's his upkeep. Can't play anything, so he takes a bunch of damage from the Black Wise. I think 2 points of damage. He's at 11 life now. And putting out a book, having a City of Brass untapped. There's still another Factory and the Flying Men coming over for both, and then he solves the Plowshare as the Factory. So he's at 9 life now. Took a point of damage from that City of Brass. Needs to read a lot in that book, but also making sure that he doesn't get within Black Wise range. So he takes a card with the book, passing the turn. And the Counterburn deck has played a Serendipity Freed that does damage to him, but also does a bunch of damage to the deck here. So the deck is actually within burn range at this point, or pretty close to it. There's a Fireball for 3 points of damage, using both City of Brass, taking a bunch of damage from them, but the deck is at 2 points of life here. He's reading again, trying to draw a balance probably, but no out. So he just got overrun. The Counterburn deck wins the first match. This is round number 2 after sideboard. And I believe that, as I remember, the deck had put in it usually puts in a Ivory Towers here against the Burn deck and Red Blasts. And I think the Counterburn deck, yeah, there's the Ivory Tower. And I think the Counterburn deck is probably also packing a bunch of Red Blasts and anti-artifact creatures, anti-artifact enchantments and spells. But the Ivory Tower, man, it's a very, very good start for the deck here, because it each time he accumulates life with that Ivory Tower, it annuls a Lightning Bolt or a Chain Lightning from the Counterburn deck. There's a Blood Moon. Okay, so that Mace of Ith won't do him much good now. And the City of Brass, yeah, he has only access to red mana here at this point, but still no threat, so the deck just keeps back a bit, trying to accumulate cards in hand in order to gain as much life as possible. The longer the deck can make this game last, the better for it. There's the first Serendipity Freed. Getting countered with a Red Blast. It's surprising that he doesn't wait until he can gain life with the Ivory Tower. I suspect he might try to go in now then, try to empty his hand. I'm not sure. Otherwise he should have waited and just destroyed the Serendipity Freed with the Red Blast. Yeah, he plays a bunch of cards now. Okay, so that's why he did it. So he can do it before his turn, so he has more mana untapped, and then he can play his Mox and his Filver Stones. The reason he does this, I think, is because the Counterburn deck has an island, and the Filver Stones will give the deck access to blue mana then, so he can now counter with the counter spells. So Lightning Bolt to the face of the deck, but doesn't do him much damage. He'll just regenerate next turn with that Ivory Tower. Getting out of Serendipity Freed, getting countered, and the counter spell is countered with a Red Blast. So the Serendipity Freed survives, doing a point of damage to the Counterburn player here in the upkeep. He has a counterspell in hand, we see here, to protect it, and he has a Wheel of Fortune and a Sonic Blast, we saw there. So, a lot of burn, and then he can just draw a new hand. It's a pretty strong start from the Counterburn deck here. The deck just keeps back. He can actually regenerate the damage the Serendipity Freed does to him. He gains 3 life each upkeep from that Ivory Tower. And the Serendipity Freed does damage to his owner as well, so the deck is actually still has plenty of control. He has a Chaos Orb in hand though, chooses not to play it because he wants to gain as much life as he can from that Ivory Tower. I think the Counterburn deck should try to just burn away and then cast Wheel of Fortune here. He's going nowhere with that Serendipity Freed at this point. At least he keeps the Ivory Tower back. Attacks with the Serendipity Freed. He drew a Shatter there. He should shatter the Ivory Tower. Now here comes a counter battle. I suppose the deck should protect this. It does think about it a lot. Okay, yeah, it looks like a counterspell. Yeah, he counters it, and now it's getting countered right back. Still considering how many resources he should pour in to protect the Ivory Tower. Follows up with a Red Blast countering the counterspell that countered his counterspell. So the Shatter is countered. And the Ivory Tower is alive. But the Counterburn deck forced the deck here to use a lot of resources and a lot of cards in hand, so he doesn't gain as much life from the Ivory Tower as he would otherwise. And that Serendipity Freed is attacking each turn. as putting the deck to 14 points of life here. And there's still that Blood Moon. It keeps the factories at bay, but it also reduces the colors the deck can play here. So the Counterburn plays Sonic Blasts the deck here. I think he'll go for Wheel of Fortune soon. Perhaps. Attacking again with the 70 Befried. The deck is at 9 life here. Yeah, he should Sonic Blast it and Wheel, I think. Perhaps no, he doesn't. Well, I suppose he has his reasons. So he passes a turn and the deck regenerates a bit from that Ivory Tower again. And the reason he won't take any damage from those City of Brass is because the Blood Moon is at, oh, there's an Abyss. That's a great card in this situation. It'll destroy a creature each turn, but it gets countered by the Counterburn deck. Okay, do we see another counter war here? It's always risky for the deck to do this because he needs those cards in hand in order to protect himself from that Serenity Befried. Okay, so he taps out, counters the counter, so now the Abyss is in play. It destroys the Serenity Befried. He took another Sonic Blast to the face though. At the end step. Oh, and here's a Wheel of Fortune. This is an excellent play. Look, the deck is totally tapped. That means he can't do anything. He can only Red Blast at this point, and the Counterburn deck will draw a full hand. And here's the hand that the deck discards. There's a Mana Drain and a Fireball, so he could have won actually here. He could Mana Drain something and then just Fireball the Counterburn deck out. But now he's tapped, and there's a full hand from, probably with burn spells for the Counterburn deck. 2 Black Wises coming in. One will annul the Ivory Tower, and there's an Energy Flux as well. This will actually wreck the mana base of the deck here, because he needs those stones in order to get access to white and to blue mana. Otherwise, all he has is red mana. But they'll cost him 2 colorless mana each upkeep to keep alive. And there's an extra Black Wise on him as well. So it's really mean. It was the perfect timing of that Wheel of Fortune right there. Casting it while the deck was tapped out. So he has to log almost all his mana in order to keep the deck has to log almost all his mana in order to keep his artifact mana alive and the Ivory Tower alive, and then he can't play anything, and the Black Wise will do damage to him. So he's at 5 life here, putting out a Tundra, but that's a mountain as well. That's a Mox Sapphire. Tapping the Mox, putting out a Sol Ring. Tapping the Sol Ring and the Demonic Mox Jet for Demonic Tutor. Okay, and then casting Time Walk. He can't do that here. Yeah, he points to his Sapphire that he casted with the Sapphire, but he can't. That's a mistake. He can't cast it because he used the Sapphire to play the Sol Ring. And the Tundra will only allow him for red mana, so it's actually, that's a misplay here. But there are so many artifacts and so many mana sources at this point, it must be hard for these players to keep track of it, I suppose. So, another turn from the Time Walk here. And another trigger from the Energy Flux. All artifact mana costs mana here. So he pays 2 mana for the Filberstone. Okay, so he's trying to... Yeah, he's paying for the other artifact mana, and then the Sol Ring pays for the blue Sapphire. He needs that mana in order to have access to colored mana here. Otherwise the Blood Moon will... it destroys his ability to counter and remove stuff. So, passing the turn to the Counterburn player. Another energy flux. This is so vicious. And the Counterburn deck also has to pay for his, he pays for his mucks there, and he pays for both his Black Wises. So both are locked out of most of their mana here just to keep the artifacts alive. And obviously he sideboarded those energy fluxes in. This is really a stalemate here. Passing the turn, and now the deck is even more screwed, trying to keep his artifacts alive, and with 2 Black Wises up against him. And a Blood Moon. He has to sacrifice both the Mox Jet and the Mox Sapphire here. And he has locked all his mana in order to keep his Felber Stones untapped, so he can at least counter. Now passing the turn to the Counterburn deck, and he sacrifices his Mox Jet and uses the rest of his mana to pay for the Black Wises, putting out a factory that's actually a mountain at this point because of the Blood Moon, passing the turn again. And the deck has to use all its mana now to just keep the Felber Stones alive. So, passing the turn, back and forth. It's a bit of a stalemate here, but I suppose the Counterburn deck has sideboarded a lot of burn out in order to gain access to these energy fluxes. And Blood Moon. Now there's a Mox Pearl, now he can play Source to Plowshares at least. And there, remember, there is an Abyss in play under that mountain of mountains. under all those lands. Blood Moon lands. There's an Abyss, so no creatures can be played at this point, or they'll die. So this is all a battle about for the deck to keep under those Black Wises, trying to get some sort of answer before the Counterburn deck draws into more burn. There's a disenchant at the end step, disenchanting one of the energy fluxes here. So now it gets a lot cheaper to keep his stuff alive here. So he's paying 6 mana at his upkeep in order to keep the Pearl and the Felber Stones alive, and he has to do this in order to gain access to colored mana, as said. Tapping a Felber Stone and trying to cast Ancestral Recall, but it gets Red Blasted immediately. Now he can't counter though, because there's only a Mox Pearl and a single Felber Stone untapped. Okay, so passes a turn, and the Counterburn deck actually sacrifices both his Black Wises here. And then, okay, he does this in order to gain access to his Brain Geyser. And he Brain Geysers for 5 cards here. The Counterburn deck is very good at finding his openings, it seems. The moment the deck shows weakness or taps out, he moves in with a wheel or a big Brain Geyser, putting out another energy flux. But at least there are no Black Wises anymore. So the deck can go above 4 cards in hand. He's at 2 life though, so it's very, very dangerous for him. So the deck taps everything just to pay for his artifact mana. Drew a counterspell there though. But he is tapped out. But that's a fireball. So, okay. The Counterburn deck actually wins here 2-0. 2 extremely different matches. The first match he won by just burning the other guy out and attacking very fast and viciously. And in the second game he won on pure anti the deck cards. A lot of hate there. And it was a solid play. I mean, it's almost an unpowered deck beating a fully powered and very well oiled version of the deck here. So okay, they're putting out what they sideboarded here. There's an Ivory Tower and 2 City in a Bottle. Okay, only a single Ivory Tower. I thought he put in more. 3 Red Blasts, and the Counterburn deck put in a Shatter, 2 Blood Moons, 3 Red Blasts, 3 Energy Fluxes, a Winter Orb. Yeah, there's 2 Blood Moons. A lot of hate. Anyway, this was the second round of the Long Island Cup. They were playing right beside me. Some very vicious, spiky builds here. We'll probably see more from these guys later on in the tournament. Next up, I'm not sure what I'll put up. We'll see what's on the SD card. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.